Now we need to be much updated with our own what? Our own culture.
Ladies and gentlemen, the youngest and others, the Africans and our neighboring continent. Good evening, good morning. I greet you. As usual, it is John Dominic, younger Pan Africanist. Today I'm with my guests of honor. Let them introduce themselves and then we continue. Yes.
Yeah, I'm by the names of Tumsimi Ali, and I'm glad to be part of this team for today's discussion. So I'll be glad to be included.
Yeah, thank you. We have also another person here in your left hand.
Yeah, my name is Silo Korea Emmanuel Victor, young Pan-Africanist with value and integrity, define motive to make sure our Africa is built from the concrete or we take from where our elders started from. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, my brothers. When someone's watching the video, may ask you come from which country? Yes, we are the Africans. From where?
From Uganda.
You are from Uganda.
Yeah.
Which part of Uganda?
I come from West.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank
I'm a
you.
Westerner from Toro region, and I enjoy the all sides of Uganda and Africa.
Thank you. Thank you for feeling comfortable in your continent. I don't know what about my brother here.
I am from Karamoja sub-region, northern Uganda. Thank you. I enjoy that part, the dry line of the country.
Yeah, thank you. So today I want to share with you, we want to talk about the African's culture. African's culture. How is it important? Is it necessary to have African's culture, or how is it important or significant to have or maintain African's culture? How do you understand or how do you feel? What is your opinion about African's culture? Is it necessary or important to maintain the African's culture?
Yeah, automatically that one I think everyone knows about it, and it's very important to have it because cultures, they give many things in common. First, the culture gives you the identity into who you are. Just in the introduction you have heard, the guy comes from Northern.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
he must have the gestures and the language as that language.
Yes.
You know, the gesture, someone how they behave, how someone they do things. You know, so different cultures have different gestures, have different languages, but of which all they are important. First, they unite. Yes, they provide support. So it is very important to have culture, as even my friend would tell you, very much belonging. You know, you may fit everywhere, but you will never belong anywhere. So
Yes.
your culture make you belong in Africa. So it's very important.
So you mean your culture is your identification?
Your culture is your identification. Your culture is you. Your culture is the way you do things, the way you respond, the gestures you show to the community, the way you behave. Those are cultures. And Africans will never behave like any other part of the country. They will always do as Africans. So it is very important to look into how they should do it better, how they should keep it, how they should improve it, how they should add value in it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ali. What about my brother? How do you understand about African's culture?
When we talk about culture as a topic of its own, the word culture itself is just diverse and it's a shared idea, belief, custom, practices, and so many things. It includes the aspects of art, music, and all those practices we have and the language we speak in that particular society. So culture itself is very broad. And when you talk about it, you'll find that you'll have it in a very big pool as culture itself. When you talk about music, art, drama, and languages spoken in a particular what society. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, my brother, for the point you have described about Africans' culture. Uh, when we talk about our culture, you know that it's not our own culture that we have now, because we were colonized. I think you agree that we were colonized.
Yeah.
But after being colonized, I think those people who came, who entered in our continent, they came with their culture and foresaw that we remained with some of their customs and culture which we have now. So how do the master colonies contributed already or destroyed the Africans' culture? How do they destroy our culture, which they found here when they came to colonize, even when the missionaries came in Africa? Because when the missionaries came in Africa, they found some Africans' culture, and they taught us that those cultures are customs; they are not allowed. They brought their culture in Africa. So how do they really contribute to destroying of our cultures? Yes.
When you look at the colonial masters, actually they did not wipe out all our culture, because culture it's a practice. Yes. However, what they did most, it was some of them we lost them completely, because some of them that we used to practice, our grands used to practice, they called it Satan.
Yes.
You get?
Yes.
As if that was not enough, they introduced other more cultures. For example, the way of worshipping.
From their countries.
Yes, Islam was not here in Africa.
Yes.
It was brought by those Arabs,
Yes.
you remember. Then Christianity and so on,
Yes.
those are cultural things they do.
Yes.
So, but remember, they either weaken or wipe out some of the cultures. But the cultures that we are talking about, they are very essential and we need them. We need to practice them. Why? They have things that they add on us. They add on Africa. If you don't have a foundation, then you can never stand.
Yes.
For every building must have a foundation.
Yes.
Our culture is our foundation. Our culture is our support. Our culture is our source of unity. Because it brings us all together.
Come.
It brings us together. It gives us a closeness.
Yes.
Feeling that you're part.
Yes.
I'm part. I'm concerned. You get?
Yes.
So if people, you need to know that we are not against other cultures. Our aim is to make sure that what we have, we should not lose it, mostly when it is important. And when it's not important, we see how to introduce something must be important. Yes? We see either we look, does it have a value? If it doesn't have a value, it's okay, we can leave it. But I remember nothing like a culture that has no value.
Yes.
So it is very important, very important. So back to your point that we need, did these people weaken? Yes, they did. They did weaken, they did even wipe out, they even introduced their cultures that even reduced ours, the strength, the bond. Remember that now you can imagine that a Muslim now, it is quite harder for him to share with a Catholic.
Yes.
You get? A Catholic at the same time is harder.
And
But
they are
before
same,
that,
same blood Africans.
yes, before that, it was not the case. You get? So what do we need is to understand what we need to do and how can we work along with what they brought.
So what does it mean? Before regions Africans were settled with the peace and harmony.
No, one of the reasons why they brought religion, it was to divide, and of which they did better. I've already told you that a Muslim, there is where he goes limits with Christianity.
Yes.
And the Christianity as well does the same.
Yes.
You have seen this even in employment. So you can imagine. So when there is no belonging, the bond, then there is no coordination, of which for us we shall always remain as Africans. We have our identity, our color. This color identifies you the most and will never change. No matter how you bleach.
I normally ask myself.
Hey, no matter how you bleach, you look at the women, no matter how you bleach,
But
you
you're
will
African.
produce a dark-skinned boy like
And
you.
I normally ask myself on my own research. I normally hear people call them say they are white, but I didn't see anyone who is white. In the people who have black, at least we have people black and brown, but I've not seen any white person. Then on that issue,
No.
not-
For
yes,
them, they are brown. Then for us, we are dark-skinned.
but they are not white.
They are not white.
Oh,
Yes.
so they should
Just
not call
because
them
of the
white.
respect you give them and everything, then you call them white.
Yes,
I
my
don't
brother.
think that.
How do you understand about it? How those people came to
Uh,
fair our
when
cultures?
you talk about the impact of colonization on African culture, we are talking on the aspects of language, art, music, practices,
Yes.
and other norms.
Mm.
Now, when you bring it down, the impact of colonization on African culture was in the way that it was complex and diverse. But it is also very important, as our brothers just said, to recognize that the colonization impact was not only, actually, it did not destroy all African cultures, as he stated earlier on. How? When you look at the aspect of language, they introduced English, they introduced other languages, French, we talk of other languages they brought, depending on the country they what?
Yes,
They
they
colonized. So, when you talk of the language, our languages have remained. I'm a Karamojong, but I can speak. I have a right to speak
Yes.
my language. You get? So, you also speak yours from our different societies. Now, when you talk about the language, that's why the aspect of not destroying all African what? African cultures comes in. Now, when you go to an aspect of music or art, you'll find that music these days, we have left, though ours is still there,
But
the way we used to do.
yes.
Now, like in our region, in my region, Karamaja,
Yes.
we have our dance of jumping.
Yes.
Now, you find that this one of disco, what, which is even very expensive. You get? Yes. You go to the club and you spend money. Still, you do other things. These days, people do very many things, very many dirty things. Now you start comparing with the hours, which was very easy to handle.
Very easy.
But we recognize it, we accept it. But in a way that we have to limit it also. You get? Now, when you talk of education and religion, most importantly, you get the traditional informal education we had when our parents used to sit us down. Those elders of ours used to sit down and teach you very many aspects of life.
Yes.
Now, these days we say, it's
Nothing
like
else.
it's a free world.
Yes.
You get? It's a free world. I can do whatever I feel like doing.
So
Now, when you
nowadays
say
it
it's
is
a
internet,
free,
it is
the
internet that
internet.
teaches them.
Eh?
So meaning
It
we
is
lost.
YouTube.
We lost,
Yes,
yeah.
we have lost. You see, when you talk
What
of
we-
when you talk about the power of subconscious mind, sometimes we lose our subconscious mind in a way that there are some things, there are some aspects which have been brought and we get crazy about them. You get? They brought homosexuality. We get crazy. Why? We say that we need donors. We need donors. Do we have to take donors in the expense of destroying our lives?
That's the major key.
Now, when you talk about even technology, I remember Elon Musk explained the issue of technology. He said specifically that if we are not careful of technology, it's like summoning the demon himself. It will reach a time when you program a robot to set a missile to destroy the whole human race,
Yes.
and you'll find that it is only robots which are in the world. That's the truth. Now, when you talk about colonization, now when you come to religion, we thought religion was going to be a uniting factor, but unfortunately, the reverse is true. Do you realize that you can go to the club or you can go to a dancing place, you go with a drinking joint, you go with your friend. If your friend is driving, will eventually drop you home.
Yes.
But you go to church,
No one.
we have powerful people driving. But no one is even bothered to carry a very old woman, an old woman around. Now you ask yourself, what is this?
It's no longer even
Look into what they brought in. To which extent to these characteristics or to these practices of culture they brought into our society, to which extent do they practice it
yes.
in their regions, in their countries? You get? You can look at the regions. They don't respect them so much. Few people who pray there. Few of them. You go to England. How many churches you will meet? How many who go to pray?
How many
But
hours
this
do
is where it
how many
originated
hours do
from.
they pray?
So look at the culture. Look at the culture and see. There was an international meeting where they were seated. By that time, Robert Mugabe had not died the late. Then they were talking about homosexuality. Barack Obama, by that time, he was still a president. So he asked him that if Obama, you want homosexuality, yes, then it's fine. Let's start from here.
Let me sleep with you.
Let me sleep with you.
I be your
I be your husband,
and
You
you
be
be
my
you
wife.
be my wife.
Exactly.
Now, what was the response?
And the response was not clear. Of course, they did
Different
not.
from
You
the
see,
point, yes.
they want us to do it is just to check on our economy, to always weaken us. You get? Even these practices they bring, it's not that they practice them. Let us say the culture they bring.
So they want to dump their Kasas.
They just dump Kasasiro,
they are
destroy.
Yeah, with the analogy that do what I say, not what I
Exactly.
do.
Exactly.
So my point there is, my brothers. So have you mentioned how the mass colonies destroyed our cultures? So now, let us think together as Africans. How now can we overcome, or how can we build ourselves again, or how can we try to develop again our cultures as Africans? Because if we don't do it today, as at least now for us we have the light, we are still having that chance of sitting with your parents and telling you about your culture. You know, we are the Africans with different cultures according to where you were born from. So for us of this generation, we have that chance because our parents are still alive. They can tell us about anything. But what we are facing in this generation, the homosexuality, which we have never seen in our blessed continent, but has come true, has come to pass. We are seeing them. So how can we develop our cultures, or how can we maintain African cultures so that we can leave at least the legacy for the future generation of Africa? Thank you.
Yeah. Now, on that same point, it is very clear. You know, for you to develop, or a family to develop, a nation to develop, we don't want many people.
Yes.
The only thing we want is that individual person in a family who is determined, who is fully willing
Yes.
to put in for that. You look at Uganda as a nation in Africa, for example. Uganda has got individuals who have at least made us make steps. You get?
Yes.
Their weakness is not our priority today here. But our point is, who are those people that are supposed to keep the culture? We are the people. We, the youth first. The youth first. Why? Because we already know information from Europe. We know our information from the background where we came from.
Yes.
We can predict the future.
Yes.
So if we can predict the future and we see we are nowhere, so it means we have to protect ourselves, our sons and daughters in the future. So the right people to do that is me, you, and most especially us who are still at campus. We should take this of priority, that when we go to that community, those people who don't know, who can have a little knowledge.
Have nowhere.
What we have is at least elaborate knowledge.
Yes.
You get?
Yes.
There are people who lack information, who are not informed.
Yes.
Others are even illiterate fully.
Exactly.
So what we need is we to start. Who? Me, you, and everyone out there. That's what's very important.
Yes, coming to that aspect of how to rebuild the African culture. Now, when you talk of the aspect of rebuilding
Yes.
or still reviving the African cultures which have been destroyed, or some are still which were not destroyed but being influenced into certain cultures or foreign cultures. Now, that one now needs the aspect with the young Africans. We need to go down and ask our elders, ask questions.
Go with modern world. The problem for them to tell them that homosexuality is customary in our continent, it is very hard. So what can we advise them, or which input can we put in to see that at least they are obtaining or they are understanding what is culture and how to rebuild African culture?
Well and good. That's a very good question. Now, if you are from a certain society
Yes.
and you speak your language, you influence people there to speak much of your language. When you go to the village,
Yes.
you speak your language. Don't again speak another
Yes.
language. You get. Then in that way, you are promoting. You don't need to go to a person by force and tell the person that stop doing this. No. You need just to develop the aspect of influencing. You get.
Yeah.
Do it fast. Influence. If you are saying this thing is bad, this and this is bad, ABCD is bad, but what are you doing about it? What have
Actually-
you done that we see?
Actually,
You
Mr. Dominic.
Now, like the change is acceptable.
yeah,
You get.
Yeah.
Yes, we adapt at a certain society. We have what they call environmental determinism. At a certain society, you have to adapt to certain things, certain changes. But the question is, how are you adapting?
How do you adapt?
Yes.
Obviously,
How are you
Mr.
adapting them?
Dominic and Mr. Him, whatever he has said, actually, we have identified that element who is important, because we are the people who are targeted. These youth, they're not targeting my father.
Yes.
Mostly they are targeting me,
Yes.
and even they are targeting my son.
Your father is working in other people's
Because
generation.
no, my son is already,
Yes.
actually my father is in his generation.
Yes.
You get? But mine is this. And they come in. Those people, you don't know the ways. For them, the way they do things, they plan for 100 years. They
Century.
plan for 50 years. But us here, the problem we have, we plan for today, for tomorrow, for months. Actually, with person here in Africa, most of them are the ones that plan for at least 2 years. But what we need is, after we, as him has done, he has told you, my brother, that we need to identify, and we have already identified that youth are concerned with this. Yes? So he has already told you, how are we going to do this? You influence. Every youth, let him be concerned and make sure that this is not after force, it's after the impact of influence. Yes?
Yes.
As I told you, if you want me to do something, do it first. You don't want me to do homosexuality. Don't at any time accept even sin. Don't follow it. Move in the line of what you want. You expect even a friend to move in the line of what?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
right.
you introduce the part of aspiring, you aspire the first, influence and inspire.
Then you will see.
And
The
you will see
society will
just the
change.
society
The
changing.
country changes.
Takes the
And
change.
the whole Africa will.
Yeah, thank you, my brothers, Mr. Ali and Mr. Victor. As we are ending from there, maybe we shall continue from there another day. But let me release this to my fellow Africans wherever we are. The nation without culture, it's like the tree without roots. Why does it mean? Anytime when the sunshine comes or when the wind comes, can take it. So what does it mean? We have to maintain on our cultures as the youth of Africa, so that is our identification. When everyone's come from abroad, out of continent, he knows that we have our own cultures as the Africans. If we don't mind about that, I request kindly our leaders from different nations of United of Africa to maintain culture, to put effort in cultures. And if not, people will learn nothing and forget nothing about them. What does it mean? We should put some effort, and at least we put some effort to see that the coming generation will find something like culture. Let me tell you, at least now we have chance. Our fathers are still alive. They can teach us, or they can at least show us about something about our culture. We have different cultures from Africa, according to how we are. So what does it mean? We have to maintain all those cultures for so that it will help the coming generation to find themselves in their own culture. And if not, they will follow other people's culture. Thank you. Africans, we love you.